In this video, we're going to talk about the azalea. Now, you've probably seen this gorgeous flower everywhere, right? It totally lights up gardens. People love it so much, they actually call it the royalty of the garden. But behind all that beauty, this royal plant is hiding a few secrets. So let's just ask it straight up. Yeah, we know it's a garden royal, for sure, but what's the big secret? What is it not telling us? Come on, let's peel back those petals and see what we can find out. Okay, but hold on. Before we get to any of the juicy secrets, we gotta understand the plant itself, right? So let's start with a quick profile of this garden celebrity. And boom, right out of the gate, we've got a surprise. Did you know that all azaleas are technically rhododendrons? Yep, they're part of this huge family that, Geckos, also includes blueberries. And you can find them growing wild all across the northern hemisphere. We're talking Asia, Europe, and North America. Okay, so if they're all rhododendrons, how in the world do you tell an azalea from, well, another rhododendron? It's actually pretty simple. The trick is to look at the stamens. You know, those little pollen-covered things sticking out from the middle of the flower? An azalea typically has just 5. The rhododendron? It'll have 10 or even more. That's for sure the easiest way to tell them apart when you're out and about. And let me tell you, the diversity is just incredible. They usually explode with color in a spring that they come in this huge range of sizes. And then you can get tiny little shrubs under 0.3 meters, all the way up to small trees that are over 4.5 meters tall. And the colors? Wow. White, pink, purple, red, pretty much every color you can think of. Oh, and some are evergreen, so they keep their leaves all year, while others are deciduous, which means they drop their leaves in the fall. Alright, so maybe you're thinking, I want one of these in my garden. So what does it actually take to care for them? Well, if you want to bring this royalty home, there are a few rules you gotta follow, and they're kind of non-negotiable. Okay, just think of the best way. Azaleas want soil that's acidic and drains well, kind of like what you'd find on a forest floor. For light, they love partial shade. That morning sun is perfect, but they really don't like the harsh afternoon heat. You also want to keep their soil moist, but definitely not soggy. Nobody likes wet feet, and it can cause root rot. And of course, you'll have to watch out for a few common pests, like waste bugs. And this right here is probably the single most important thing to remember. Seriously, if you take away just one tip for growing azaleas, make it this number. The soil has to be acidic, with a pH somewhere between 4.5 and 6.0. If it's not, they just can't get the nutrients they need. And, well, they won't make. Alright, so we know what it is, and we know how to grow it. Now, it's time to talk about that secret we hinted at earlier. This is where the story of this beautiful flower gets really interesting, and a little bit dangerous. Yeah, the big secret? It really comes down to this simple warning. Because, for all its good looks, the azalea has a pretty powerful built-in defense system. So here it is. Every single part of the azalea plant is toxic. I mean everything. The leaves, the nectar, even the beautiful flowers. It's packed with these neurotoxins called granulotoxins. And what they do is mess with your sodium channels, which affects your muscles and your heart. So yeah, it's definitely dangerous if ingested by humans, and you really have to be careful with curious pets like dogs and cats. And hey, this is not some new discovery. People have known about this for a long, long time. There are stories throughout history, like this wild one from ancient Turkey. An entire army of Roman soldiers was supposedly taken down not by swords, but by eating something called mad honey. The bees had been feeding on rhododendron nectar, and the honey had enough of those toxins to knock the soldiers right out. Crazy, right? So moving beyond its beauty and, well, its dangerous side, the azalea also has this incredibly rich history of symbolism. In the language of flowers, this one has a lot to say. And what it says really depends on the color. A white one, that means purity and civility. Pink is all about romance and feminine grace. Red, ooh, that's for deep passion. Purple connects right back to that royal status we talked about. And the yellow one is a lovely symbol of friendship and family. But, maybe the most touching meaning comes from China. There, its name translates to be thinking of home bush. Isn't that beautiful? It's become the symbol of homesickness and of longing for your family and where you came from. Okay, to start wrapping things up, let's do a little rapid fire round of fascinating facts. These really show just how complex the royalty of the garden truly is. Seriously, this flower is just full of surprises. First off, its name comes from the Greek word azaleos, which means dry. Kind of ironic, since we know it needs moist soil, right? Also, there are over 10,000 different varieties that people have cultivated. Some of these plants are known to live for hundreds of years. And check this out. Back in Victorian England, if someone sent you azaleas in a black vase, that was considered a death threat. They knew all about its toxic side. And for our final fact, and honestly, this might be the most amazing one, how does it get pollinated? So while bees might visit, they're not the main pollinators. Instead, the pollen gets transferred, almost by accident, by the wings of large butterflies, like the eastern tiger swallowtail. As they're drinking nectar, their wings just brush against those long stamens and move the pollen around. It's such a delicate and almost poetic way to do it. So when you think about it, the azalea is this perfect paradox. It's a flower called dry that loves water, a symbol of home that hides a pretty serious danger, and a royal beauty that depends on the gentle touch of a butterfly's wing to survive. Just amazing. All right, that is it for this video, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.